following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee.
It is Reaction Monday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao coming to you alongside Mo Patton. Man, what a crazy weekend it was here in the land of Main Street Sports Today. But as you can see, clearly the Braves did something good because we're all wearing the A.
Hashtag for the
A. We are. We're wearing it for the A. There's no question there. Thank you guys for hanging out with us here on this Monday. We've got a great show lined up for you. Mike Patton is going to join us. He is a Nashville media voice, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Tennessee State Lane College game. It has a classic name, John
Merritt. It's the John Merritt Classic.
John Merritt Classic. I couldn't think of the last name for off the top of my head.
That's not a name to forget.
Yeah,
but that's okay.
Yeah, but yeah, it was a crazy weekend for Tennessee State against Lane College, and we'll get to it. So yeah, and we've got to react to college football, Titans, other NFL news, high school football. Obviously, we're getting to the Braves. All of that coming up shortly here on Main Street Sports Today. Looking forward to getting deep into it. But before we do anything else, Mo, we've got a lengthy rundown today, so we might as well hop right in and give you the weekend results in today's schedule on the Rundown.
The Monday Rundown is brought to you by Zion Christian Academy. ZCA offers a faith-based, Christ-centered education in Murray County. Give them a call today at 931-388-5831 or visit zioneagles.org to schedule your appointment today. Zion Christian Academy. Prepared for college, equipped for purpose.
High school football action on Friday. It was Beach 38-0 winners over West Creek. Oakland down Blackman 53-18. Independence falls to Brentwood 24-23. It was Cheatham County 19-16 winners over White House Heritage, while Brentwood Academy down Christian Brothers 45-9. Christian Heritage out of Georgia defeated Ezel Harding 70-0. It was Clarksville 56, Hendersonville 36. Donaldson Christian with a 47-6 win over Clarksville Academy. Clarksville Northeast 54-6 winners over Northwest. Page in a comeback victory that, when you hear the final score, it doesn't seem like a comeback victory, but it was 48-13 in favor of the Patriots. Columbia Academy 51-8 over Mount Juliet Christian. Franklin Road Academy 39-38 over CPA. And Dixon County 34-28 winners over Laverne.
That Page victory was over Columbia Central, by the way. Eagleville with a 14-12 win over Wayne County. East Nashville down Green Hill 53-21. It was East Robertson 12, Watertown 6. Ensworth with a 55-21 win over Antioch. With Fairview 30, White House 6. Centennial in overtime down Franklin 21-14. Good Pasture with a 41-13 win over Battleground Academy. Greenbrier defeated Montgomery Central 20-7. It was Harpeth with a 29-28 win over Trousdale County. Hillsboro 49, Hunters Lane 7. Gordonsville defeats Joe Burns 14-6. Overton with a 33-22 win over McGavock, and Knoxville Catholic edges Father Ryan 43-42.
Lipscomb Academy down Davidson Academy 58-6. Maplewood 32-18 winners over Jackson County. With Middle Tennessee Christian 15-12 over the Kings Academy. Nashville Christian shuts out Grace Franklin 36-0. Pearl Cone downs Glencliff 77-0. While NBA shut out Pope Prep 35-0. Portland 28-14 winners over Kenwood. Ravenwood 35-7 over Summit. Mount Pleasant a 38-28 winner over Richland. Rossview falls to Gallatin 42-7. Lebanon 41-7 winners over Shelby.
Smith County defeats Stratford 41-14. It was Cane Ridge downing Smyrna 35-14. Henry County with a 29-28 win over Springfield. Nolensville all over Spring Hill 42-0. Sycamore with a 49-7 win over Stewart's County. Tullahoma defeats Hillwood 42-10. Friendship Christian 49, Webb School 7. Westmoreland with the 30-0 shutout of Whites Creek, and Wilson Central defeats White County 31-28. In girls soccer action on Friday, it was Stewart's Creek 7, Blackman 0.
On Saturday, volleyball action, it was in fact a district tournament. Riverdale downed Stewart's Creek 3-1. Rockville blanked Blackman 3-0. Blackman had a 3-2 win over Smyrna, while Stewart's Creek then defeated Laverne 3-0. And that was on Saturday. Girls soccer action on Saturday, Brentwood 4, Beach 0, BGA 3-2 winners over Centennial. And then on Sunday, in the district finals over there, it was Oakland 3-2 winners over Riverdale, and then Siegel 3-2 over Rockville. And Oakland, with I guess it's somewhat of an upset, I would think, 3-1 over Siegel to win their first district championship.
That's pretty crazy that they were playing on Sunday. Very interesting.
Right.
In Major League Baseball action, the Cubs swept a 3-game series against the Mets, winning 6-1, 2-1, and 8-1. The Cardinals took 2 of 3 from the Pirates, winning Friday 2-1 and 13-3 on Saturday before falling 7-5 on Sunday. The Marlins took 2 of 3 from the Brewers after losing 1-0 in the opener, winning 4-3 and then 4-3 and 12. And in Atlanta, the National League East Division leading Braves got that way with a 5-2 win over the Mets on Friday, 4-2 on Saturday, and 5-3 on Sunday. They call that a sweep, by the way.
That's what I hear. College football action on Friday. UTSA with a 45-30 win over Middle Tennessee State. On Saturday, it was Austin Peay falling to Central Arkansas 49-20. Lane College 29-27.
28-27.
Okay, 28. I thought it was 28, but 28-27 over Tennessee State in overtime. And the University of Cumberland's 10, Cumberland 6. In NFL action on Sunday, the Titans held off the Colts 24-17, and Nashville SC fell to Houston's Dynamo 2-1 in MLS action.
Volleyball action today. Some of this will be tournament play, and I'm not exactly sure which is which, but Hendersonville.
Like almost all of it, but
you think? Okay. Hendersonville and Beach at 4 o'clock. Also at 4 o'clock, Murfreesboro Central and Giles County. At 5 o'clock, it's Loretto and Perry County. At 5:30, Portland is at Gallatin. At 7, Mount Pleasant takes on Hampshire, and Donaldson Christian plays at Providence Christian. Time unknown.
In girls soccer action, at 5 o'clock tonight, Sycamore is at Clarksville Academy. At 6 o'clock, Gallatin hosts CPA. Giles County is at home against Fayetteville. At 6:30, Cane Ridge goes to East Nashville. And Franklin Road Academy plays host to University School Nashville. At 7 o'clock tonight, First Touch, White House Heritage is at Good Pasture. And Marshall County at home against Fairview.
Pro baseball action tonight at 5:35 on ESPN Plus. It's the Cardinals at Pittsburgh against the Pirates. At 5:40, the Cubs and Reds. Again, okay. Also at 5:40, this one's on Valley Sports South. The Braves are at Miami against the Marlins. At 6:10, the Nationals are at Citi Field against the Mets. And at 6:40, the Diamondbacks travel to Milwaukee. Also in NFL action tonight at 7:15, the Los Angeles Rams are at the San Francisco 49ers. That game can be seen on both ESPN and ESPN2. And that is your rundown.
Unless you have Dish Network.
Oh, okay. Today's rundown, by the way, again, brought to you by Zion Christian Academy. ZionEagles.org. Check it out.
Yes, so if you have Dish Network, you don't have ESPN. So there's that.
That's a recent development, isn't it?
As of Saturday morning.
I thought I saw some folks a little up in arms over that. That's Saturday morning isn't a good time for that to take place either.
No, it's not. No, it isn't.
Well,
especially when the Braves are playing on Sunday Night Baseball the next night. Yeah, that didn't make for a great weekend.
Chris, do you have Dish Network?
I do.
It sounded a little heartfelt.
Not. I won't have Dish Network at the end of today.
I hear you. Well, does Dish Network still carry Bally Sports?
No, they've not carried Bally Sports
Ever.
Bally. Yeah, I don't think they've ever had it.
Oh, so now you didn't have Bally or ESPN.
I got to see the Saturday night game because it was on Big Fox.
Man, this has been a rough weekend for you.
It was. I mean, outside of all of my teams getting wins,
you just didn't get to see them.
I just didn't get to see any of them except the one. So,
well,
although I did get to see a little bit of Jacksonville State because they're on ESPN Plus. So
well, let me just say this: if you get that rectified and things start going sideways,
we gotta fix that
at 5:40. Somebody may come cut your line. Let me just say that.
It may be the way to go.
I've got a story for later on when we get into our Brave segment. So that kind of relates a little bit to that. We also need to mention, Chris, the Nashville Sounds trip to Vegas was not a very long one.
Yeah, I was hoping that we could just pretend like it didn't happen. 13-0 winner, 13-0 losers to Durham in the International League Championship game. So
Durham, which went on and won the whole shebang, by the way.
I guess if you're going to lose to somebody, lose to the champ.
Yeah.
But after winning 91 games in minor league baseball, that's tough to take.
Yeah, well, maybe somebody that won a bunch of games in Major League Baseball will meet the same fate.
There you go. Yeah. The team with the second best record won it all. So I guess the team with the second best record in the National League could certainly win it all. That'd be great.
That would be great. I'm trying to figure out what Durham did to Reno, because Reno defeated
El Paso
in the Pacific Coast League Championship game on Friday before Nashville lost to Durham 13-0 on Sunday, and Durham defeated Reno 10-6 last night for the AAA championship. So,
how about them Bulls?
There you go. Bulls. The Bulls. Hit the bull, win a steak. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, it was a fun weekend. Our top story, real quick before we get out of this, we can't get too far into this without just saying, the NL East race is over. Oh, sorry. I was getting a little Sal there. Yeah.
He'll be all right.
Braves just need one win or one Mets loss, and they will be crowned the National League East champions once again. So that's exciting.
5th year in a row.
For the 5th year in a row.
5th year in a row. High five.
Yes, high five. We'll take it. Yeah. But we've got a lot to get to here on Reaction Monday on Main Street Sports Center. We're going to do that here in just a moment. We're going to take a short break, Mo, and when we come back, Mike Patton is standing by, and we'll talk a little bit about the Tennessee State Tigers and what's next. So, yeah, stick around. You're gonna want to stick around for this, I promise. So, we'll be right back after these messages on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones and Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones and Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back in to Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Chris Gow, alongside No Pat, the Hall of Famer, if you will. Yeah. Wearing the A with no mullet, which means it's for the A.
Thank you. Thank you for noticing and for helping educate others.
Nah,
yes.
You know how.
Now you've got the mulletless A as well on your chest there.
I do, right? Look, it's a little warm in our office today, but I was not gonna not wear this.
Hey, you could have gone without the t-shirt. We've seen that before.
Oh no.
It's a little rough, but
you can't wear quarter zips without t-shirts, and people who do that are just weird.
Serial killers, I think.
I would just like to point that out. So anyway. Yeah. We've got a guest that's standing by. We need to get to him because he is fantastic, and I'm looking forward to talking with with Mike Patton here. You've seen his work with the Tennessee Tribune and the Nashville Voice covering the Tennessee State Tigers. He also hosts the Touring the AFC South podcast, which is that's about like touring an old rundown downtown right now, as bad as the teams are in the AFC South, but that's neither here nor there. Mike Patton joins us now. Mike, what's up?
What's going on? And yeah, definitely not necessarily a great tour right now.
It's an interesting tour, though, I'm sure, Mike, but we don't want to get too far off in the weeds with that, because you were in the press box at Hale Stadium in the hole on Saturday afternoon for quite the interesting event, as the John A. Merritt Classic went to someone other than the home team. Lane College defeated the Tigers for the first time, I think, in 10 meetings, and a lot of folks didn't expect that.
Me included. I did not expect that either. But it was honestly, just watching the game, it got off to a little bit of an auspicious start to begin with. Lane drove the field the first drive on Tennessee State. They held them to a field goal. Tennessee State blocks it. Then the first possession, Tennessee State is running a read option. Quarterback pulls the ball, takes it, gets stripped of the football. Lane picks it up, runs it in for a touchdown. That's how the game started. So from there, it just got more and more interesting as it went along.
Now, two things need to be pointed out probably. That quarterback was not Draylon Ellis, the transfer from Austin Peay. And Lane is a Division II program, an NCAA Division II program out of Jackson for the uninitiated, but did produce former NFL running back Fred Lane, whose father played at TSU. So a lot of intertwining there. But again, this matchup didn't go the way it was expected. TSU had to kick a field goal to force overtime. Is that right?
A 51-yard field goal at that to force overtime.
To force overtime. And then now I'm sketchy on the details because I was otherwise detained getting ready for the Braves game. But Lane scored first and then TSU went for two. Is that the way that went down?
No, it actually was the other way around. TSU scored first and they got the extra point. Then what ended up happening was Lane actually scored and decided they were going to go for two.
And got it.
Yes.
Okay.
Go for two on the road.
Well, they did.
As well. They had nothing to lose.
Yep. Goodness gracious. TSU falls to 0-4 with that loss. They have lost to Eastern Washington on the road. They've lost to Jackson State in the Southern Heritage Classic down in Memphis. They lost at MTSU, speaking of auspicious, 49-6. And then this loss here to Lane. Mike, you've covered at least two of those games. Which of those is the most galling for TSU fans, in your opinion?
Definitely would be the Lane loss. That was huge. I mean, you've got 11,000 people there at the Hole, which I've never seen that big a crowd ever at the Hole since I've been covering TSU. And it just, you could sense just the look of astonishment on everyone in the crowd. They were just, it wasn't, besides the people from Lane, there was literally, TSU fans were kind of stunned. And it was a huge loss. I mean, the other games, I would say you're playing against two top 15 FCS teams, and then you're playing against MTSU. So it wasn't expected they were going to come out of those, with a big win or, 3-0 or anything like that. But the Lane game was supposed to be a win, and it just wasn't.
Well, Mike, I've seen a lot of Twitter talk from some folks, and I'm sure you have too. But a lot of folks saying that, one, they don't understand how you can go from being competitive against Eastern Washington and Jackson State to losing to Lane College with the same football team. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But when you throw in that 49-6 loss to Middle, and confidence wise, you don't know how these kids are going to react. What is the difference between this team and the team that we saw in Memphis and out in Eastern Washington?
Well, I would say offensively, the big difference is you don't have Draylon Ellis out there, who's your starting quarterback. You don't have your star running back and Starling there. You don't have Cam White as a wide receiver out there. So those are three big pieces that were missing in that game. So I would say that's a difference. But defensively, they were missing the starting safety from the transfer there from Houston. He was actually not out there on Saturday either. And also another wide receiver was missing too. So it was a lot of things that were missing. So I wouldn't say necessarily confidence-wise. It's more of, to me, I think they were missing pieces that they didn't think they needed for that game, but ended up actually needing for that game.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, though. Because that was my thought was, how does this happen? And that was a lot of people's questions. So that clears that up. And personnel does matter. I mean, it's just the facts of the matter. Jimmy's and Joe's, baby.
It is Jimmy's and Joe's. We're speaking with Mike Patton, Nashville freelance journalist who covers Tennessee State football on a regular basis, among other things. You can find him at Mike Patton 82 on Twitter to follow all of his work there. But Mike, I would think that regardless of what personnel TSU may have been playing without, the coaching staff would have told you that this is a game that they should have won.
That's correct. They more than likely would say, hey, we should have won this game. But of course, in any level of football, turnovers are going to hurt you. And of course, when you have two big ones that are returned back for touchdowns with a fumble and an interception returned back for a touchdown, you can't put yourself in that kind of hole no matter who you play. And
they were in a hole from the start. Tennessee State was, just unable to dig out of it at any point. And, I guess the only time that they weren't losing in the game is when it was 0-0 when they tied it at 20. Is that correct?
Yeah, they were leading before
Did they go up?
the interception before halftime.
Okay.
They were up I think 10 to, I don't know. I kept trying to kind of lose track of the score, but they were up a little bit before halftime. And then
Was it 10-6, Mike?
I think it was 10-6, and then the interception was thrown, and that's when
Gotcha.
Lane took the lead and on that interception right there before halftime.
And they were playing catch up the rest of the game. Okay, because every time I was checking the score throughout the day, and it looked like Lane was up by about a field goal or more at any given time. So it's speaking of this coaching staff and telling you that they should win this game, is there an issue at this point between leadership and this coaching staff? Should there be an issue between leadership and this coaching staff, or is this just you chalk it up to personnel and move on?
Well, I can't say for certain, but what I can say is that I think that of course they're all disappointed in this loss. Not much can be said about this loss, but the biggest thing is I think the coaching staff and the team are still, kind of joining lockstep and still trying to do what's best for the kids and the university. So, they look at it as, hey, we have another opportunity. It's Saturday. It's Bethune-Cookman. It's homecoming. Let's get this ship right. So I think they're still in lockstep. They're all disappointed, obviously, but I think on Saturday they have a chance to rectify that. Hopefully fans will be more in the game instead of outside the game. Maurice knows what I'm talking
about. They do like to have a good time outside the confines of the stadium. That's for sure. Mike Patton, Nashville freelance journalist, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. And Mike, as you mentioned, they return to play Saturday against Bethune-Cookman. It's homecoming. That's a 5:00 start. They're back at Nissan Stadium. And the importance of this game, beyond the fact that TSU goes into it at 0-4, this is their last game before they get into Ohio Valley Conference play. So
Definitely.
it would be nice to get one before they get started in league play, I would think.
Definitely. I mean, going into the game against Lane, honestly, I was looking at it, okay, cool. They faced their three toughest opponents. The only tough opponent they really have left is UT Martin, and then this game happens. So, yeah, they definitely need to go get this game. I mean, of course, they were in kind of a little bit of a similar predicament last year. Things weren't going well, and all of a sudden they won 4 out of 5, and that's including some OVC games, and they were right there potentially to win the. They went to UT Martin and lost that game. So, I've seen this picture a little bit before, maybe not as bleak looking as some would say as this one looks, but if anybody can bring them out of it, I think Eddie and the staff, Coach George and the staff can bring them out of this and kind of redirect them going forward.
With these 4 losses to start the season, Eddie George is now 5-10 as a head coach. This is his only head coaching venture. And, a friend of mine posted something on his Facebook account over the weekend referring to Eddie. And, this is a guy who had never really considered coaching as a possibility before he was approached by officials at Tennessee State regarding this position and succeeding Rod Reed, former TSU linebacker who rose up through the ranks as an assistant and a defensive coordinator before taking over that program. What are your thoughts? What do you see as far as a guy who's never been in that position before, being in that position at the top of the program?
Well, one thing that you notice, and I've noticed over the time, and that Eddie has talked about, the Coach George has talked about, is that he's learning and growing as a coach, as well as the team is learning and growing with him. So he's still growing and learning different situations, different things, and you notice that in terms of how some situations are handled or not handled as well. So. I mean, it'll just be interesting to see if he's going to continue to grow, or those situations are going to work themselves out, or the support staff around him is going to be able to pick up the slack in those instances as well. So it's been interesting just to kind of watch him, maneuver and grow as a coach. In some situations, great. In some situations, haven't. But you do know one thing: the kids do love playing for him. I was talking to J.J. Holloman, who transferred here from Florida International, and he's like, "Hey, he's a players coach, and he's the players. He definitely is the best one of the pro player coaches, which I haven't had that before, is what his words were. So they do love and enjoy playing for him.
Now he's not as adamant about Coach George as Dion is about Coach Prime, is he?
Oh my goodness!
He hadn't dropped any Nick Saban bombs, has he? Just making sure.
Nah, I don't think any of those have come out yet.
No, that's great. Look, it is a different world going from not being even in football really to coaching Division I football. Let's not forget that FCS is still Division I. I mean, it's a tough place to be, and you really kind of have to know what you're doing when you get into it. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But if he can continue to recruit the type of talent and get the talent transfers in that he's been able to do, if given a little bit of time, do you feel like that he has the opportunity to make Tennessee State, a viable place to win football games?
I definitely think he does. I mean, just look at what he's done with a whole offseason worth of recruiting. He brought in a starting quarterback. He brought in a couple starting wide receivers. I mean, he's brought in a starting safety, a starting linebacker from Ohio State transferred here. I mean, he's got a lot of different pieces he's brought in. And I think with time, he can add to that and grow that. And of course, maybe get some more pieces in the trenches as well. That's the offensive defensive line for those that aren't aware what the trenches are. But yeah, if he can add a little bit more pieces there, I think he can definitely get this moving in the and they could be at the top of the OVC in no time, to be honest. Just it's a matter of that, and then also a matter of him continuing to grow and mature as a coach, which, I mean, you could already see the changes from his first game to now, and it's going to be amazing to watch the changes from now to the next game. And, of course, he has to go through things to get to things, and that's with anybody and anything that you're going to do.
Mike Patton here. Mo, did you have something else?
No. I'm not. No, I'm good. Just Michael, are you planning to cover that Bethune-Cookman game this weekend?
I'll be there.
Okay. Well, great. Folks, if you want to see and know more about Tennessee State football, again, you can follow Mike Patton at Mike Patton 82 on Twitter. In addition to his TSU coverage, again, he also has a podcast touring the AFC South, where you can learn about the Titans, Jaguars, Colts, and Texans. And so, Mike, we appreciate you taking some time with us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me. And of course, I know a lot of people aren't very excited about the AFC South, but hey, somebody's got to be excited about it.
Somebody's got to win it, baby. Might as well be us.
Yep.
Thank you,
That's
man.
right.
We appreciate it.
Thank you all for having me.
All right. That was Mike Patton. And Mo, we're going to take a quick break here and get to reactions from across the college football world and much more here. But that is a tough loss if you are a fan of Tennessee State. And
I think it's a tough loss if you were involved with Tennessee State, not just a fan. I think again, that's a Division II program. You were 9-0 against them going into that ball game. That one leaves a mark. It's like Mike said, it's not like Eastern Washington or Jackson State or MTSU. That was supposed to be a gimme. Of course, now there have been a bunch of other gimmies that weren't across the college football landscape this year, so maybe you just kind of chalk it up to that. At least Lane didn't walk off with $1.5 million and the win.
There you go. At least they did. That is key right there. That is key. All right. Well, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we get more into college football and react to the world around it. Right after this on Main Street today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. Stick around.
This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee sports editor, three-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSWA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
Other guy in Wham married the best looking girl, Bananarama. So other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice.
All right. Let's jump in, Mo. There's a lot that happened over the weekend in college football. and boy, some things I certainly didn't expect. We'll start first with MTSU, man. We talked about how it felt like that was a must-win game on Friday after all of the hoopla around the program. But, again, UTSA is still the class of Conference USA right now. And, it was a one-possession game in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you got to feel like there's at least something positive to take from that. And, the fact that you are continuing to get better against Conference USA opponents, you take a little bit of positive out of it and try to build and get some more wins.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have to. You just like you wanted to build on the Miami win, you want to build on this UTSA loss. We talked to Chris Massaro on Thursday, the athletics director over at MTSU, and on Friday. Time flies when you're having fun. But he referred to that game as critical, really. I mean, that you really wanted to build on that win over a top 25 team with a win at home in conference play, and didn't quite materialize, but you have to find the good in it and get ready for the next one. And it's like he said, the conference certainly didn't do MTSU any favors with their schedule. They play at UAB this weekend. Is that right?
Yes, but UAB coming off a loss to Rice.
Yeah. So a couple of teams coming off of losses, one maybe a little bit more surprising than the other one. But again, this isn't probably isn't a great place for MTSU to be right here, going to UAB against a rather irritated bunch of Blazers, and then come back home next weekend for homecoming against a pretty good Western Kentucky team. So it's a tough stretch here, but could be a lot worse. They could have lost that game to Miami on top of everything else. So they've got something to build off of, and it'll be interesting to see how they react in Birmingham this weekend, I think.
Certainly will bear watching, because again, this is a UAB team that's got technically an interim coach. They've got a lot of disorientation in that program. So this is a chance to get one against UAB after that disappointing loss in the conference championship game a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
This is a chance to kind of right the ship there and get back on the winning track for Rick Stockstill. So big one on Saturday.
And we'll be talking more with Chip Walters tomorrow about this past weekend and this coming weekend as well, and get his insight from on campus on some of this.
Yes, we will. Just 6 days after firing its football coach, Georgia Tech gets a big win over top 25 opponent Pitt. And shout out to the Hewitt-Trussville alum Brent Key for his first win as a head coach. This is a crazy college football season, and Georgia Tech getting a win over Pittsburgh just continues what we're seeing, just the weirdness.
It must have been the weekend of the interim coach, because Nebraska also with the 35-21 win over Indiana with Mickey Joseph getting the win there in Big Ten play. So it's pretty good stuff. As I texted you, at least one AD feels a little vindicated in the move. The other AD, Todd Stansbury, was kind of standing on the outside looking in at the Georgia Tech win, I guess, since he got fired along with Jeff Collins. So
that's right.
But yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. Like you said, 6 days after Collins is gone, Georgia Tech goes on the road and gets an ACC win. So maybe they just needed a breath of fresh air. Who knows?
Yeah, and maybe so. I mean, perhaps Collins had lost the locker room, which we've seen happen in college football.
I don't know that that's necessarily the case, though, man, because I saw a couple of tweets, and again, we have a former area athlete at Georgia Tech, Dante Smith, and indications are that the team wasn't necessarily in favor of this move. So
I didn't know. I mean, I don't know. I was just saying, perhaps that was a reason. I don't
know. They're on any given Saturday, Sunday, Friday night, I don't know.
Well, at this point, I mean, they're probably rallying even more.
That could be,
behind this coaching staff, because the only coach that's not there is Jeff Collins.
That's true. That is true.
So, I mean, there's that. So perhaps they're just rallying around this coaching staff, and we'll see what happens going forward with the Yellow Jackets. Other teams that will now have to rally around their coaching staffs, Wisconsin and Colorado. When we talked about this with John Bryce, he mentioned Colorado.
He did.
And I don't think he mentioned Wisconsin.
I don't remember him mentioning Wisconsin.
I don't know that anybody thought Wisconsin was going to necessarily get rid of Paul Chryst, but boy, they have had a tough go of it this year. A lot of folks thought that they were the favorites to win that division, and the Badgers have struggled, to say the least.
Maybe losing to former Badgers coach Brett Bielema was just too much.
And look, Illinois, not a great program. Don't get me wrong, and I can understand, but that's there's an X factor there when a former coach comes back to campus and has his new team a little bit more fired up than you might normally see. So I don't know. But the problem is, at this point, with as many coaches that are getting fired, you kind of can't wait if you're going to do it. So you just got to go with your gut here, I guess.
Florida AD Jeremy Foley. What should be done eventually must be done immediately.
Exactly. Well, I mean, that's kind of where,
and especially now you've got 5 teams out there, 5 programs out there on the hunt.
Right. And one of them in your conference. So if you want the best possible coach out there, you got to be looking for that coach. You can't
be pretty proactive about it. If you think you're going to have to make a move, you don't want to wind up with the 6th best option if you can prevent it.
Right. Wisconsin's leading rusher on Saturday ran for 16 yards.
In the Big Ten?
In the Big Ten.
That ain't no good.
That is not a recipe for success. They're 2-3 on the year. Their only wins over Illinois State and New Mexico State. Lost to Washington State at home. Obviously lost to Ohio State. 2 weeks ago, and then this weekend to Illinois. They've got trips to Northwestern and to Michigan State coming up in the next 2 weeks.
Interesting website, coacheshotseat.com.
Okay. Well, my next question was going to be who's next. So this seems like a good one.
Jeff Scott of South Florida looks to be the leader in the clubhouse, followed by David Shaw at Stanford. I don't think that's going to happen. Brent Venables at Oklahoma is number 3. I don't think that's going to happen, but I can see where they're coming from. Pat Fitzgerald at Northwestern and Tim Albin, Albin, at Ohio. That is your top 5.
So, and I'm looking at the website too. If Jeff Scott is your number 1 and Brian Harsin is your number 7,
you're wondering about this website, huh?
I'm wondering about the validity, but not just that. But like you said, David Shaw, Brent Venables, Pat Fitzgerald, none of those really seem like likely scenarios.
Really don't. They really don't.
I think Will Healy at Charlotte is on more of a hot seat than any of those 3. And I know that sounds crazy, but I mean,
it really doesn't. It really doesn't. And again, we've talked about Will Healy at Charlotte and their recent struggles, and the fact that sometimes when you're the hot coach, you got to get, he had some opportunities, and I guess he didn't feel like they were the right opportunities, but water tends to find its level.
Well, I think when you look at this website and look at the coaches that potentially are on hot seats, I think every coach that's going to get fired, sans Brian Harsin, has already been fired.
Yeah,
I don't think
particularly as you look at the top 10 in particular. I don't think
Sarkisian's not going anywhere.
Jimbo Fisher, and recall the text that I sent you over the weekend. Jimbo Fisher ain't going nowhere.
Okay, well, you say that, but Paul Feinbaum reports that it's not impossible.
Well, nothing's impossible.
No, he's saying that he's hearing that boosters are willing.
A friend once told me, if money is the problem, there's no problem. And that's certainly the case in Texas.
Especially at Texas A&M.
So, I mean, his buyout is somewhere between 85 and 95 million.
It's 100% guaranteed. The entire contract is guaranteed.
So, I mean, it might be a Nolan Richardson situation. They give me my money, they can fire me tomorrow,
What door do you want me to leave out of, and what time?
You want me to leave? That's it. Yeah. But I mean, Ken Niumatalolo at Navy's not going anywhere. Steve Sarkisian's what, in his 2nd year at Texas?
Right.
He's not going anywhere. Now, Scott Satterfield, that could be a day-to-day situation at Louisville.
Every day's a day-to-day situation. Satterfield, Bobby Petrino, or anybody else
in between. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So, but it's interesting. And I mean, there was a time, I'm old enough to remember, when coaches didn't get fired midseason in college because, it wasn't about that. But, clearly times have changed.
Because once again, the only coach that's not there is the head coach. It's still the same staff, folks.
Yeah.
That's a little weird to me, but whatever. Anyway,
I think a lot of times it's just performative.
Oh, it is.
But also, as you said, you're trying to kind of get out there and let people know we do have a vacancy, as opposed to folks who are conducting coaches searches with a coach.
It is something they certainly like to do down in the South. Anyway,
south of here.
South, yeah, a little south, a little east. Georgia struggle win over Missouri, man.
Struggle. That's one way to put it. I tell you, I was walking out of Truist Park and somebody had it pulled up on their phone, and I walked by and I saw.
I bet they weren't happy.
They weren't happy at all, because about that time, Missouri was up 22-19. I'm like, oh.
Well, if they don't kick 5 field goals, they win that game. But Georgia's defense stiffened when they stoutened up when they needed to stouten up. And force some field goals. And hey, credit to the Missouri kicker after he shanks the game winner last week against Georgia, coming out and hitting 5, including a couple from 50, I think. So well done to that kid.
Dude said you won't blame me for another one. Shoot.
So I mean, he was out there booming them, but Georgia does what number one teams are supposed to do. They find a way to win.
Well, and of course they're no longer number one.
Now, Kirby Smart says after the game, it's tough every week in the SEC. Stop that. Just stop. No.
How does he explain 39-22 over Kent State then?
Look,
that wasn't in the SEC.
No, and I'm sorry, but it's just as Matt Mitchell said. Georgia is losing to a team that doesn't even have seats in both end zones. And that's going to resonate with some Vandy fans who are going to be mad at me, but I don't care.
What it is.
I mean, there's a difference between number one programs and programs that don't have seats in both end zones. There is. That's not a shot. It's just those programs are typically putting more money and effort into football than they are anything else. And Georgia's one of those programs. And they shouldn't be struggling to beat Missouri as the defending national champion. They just shouldn't. But here we are. Anyway, there's so much more that I want to get to, and we'll save it for tomorrow because we've got to get to the next segment because I can't wait to get to the next segment because it's about the Atlanta Braves.
There we go.
So we'll continue to react probably tomorrow,
right,
to the world of college football and much more. But right now we're going to take a quick break, and we are going to come back. And when we do come back, we're going to talk about the National League East race that has become awfully close to being over. And that is with the Atlanta Braves and New York Mets after this weekend. We'll talk about everything that happened this weekend, what's going to happen in the next 3 days. So stick around here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck, yes. That'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee. Because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joints. Chris Yao and Mo Patton coming to you here on this Monday edition, Reaction Monday, Main Street Media TV. And boy, what a weekend it was for the Atlanta Braves, as we talk a little bit about the eventual NL East champions. I'm just going to say it because it worked on Friday. We talked ad nauseum, it felt like, about what the Braves were going to do if they had to pitch in the wild card round. And then at the end, we just said, well, that's who needs to worry about it, because we're going to sweep this weekend. And boy, did they.
They did. Absolutely. Took care of business 5-2 on Friday night. I was trying to keep up with that and the Page Columbia Central game, and then kept up a little closer on Saturday night from right field as they won 4-2. And then last night, the 5-3 victory. And Dansby Swanson and Matt Olson homered in each game.
That's insane.
That really is. Now, the rest of that story, Jody and I were in the clubhouse shop when Swanson and Olson hit their home runs on Saturday night, and I was almost scared to go back to my seats. Because if the Mets had gone back up while we were sitting there, I would have left.
and I wouldn't have blamed you at all,
because clearly it's me. But no, they
the other 42,000 people in the stands had nothing to do with it.
Nothing to do with it. It was all me. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. And as Snitker has said, the crowd that Saturday night was electric with everything else that was going on, college football and everything else. They still sold out, and it was packed, and it was fantastic. And all 3 nights, apparently, again, I didn't get to see Friday night, but I did watch last night's game, and it's a heck of an atmosphere. It was almost like playoff baseball in the stands, pretty much. And I think a lot of the fans,
playoff for the Braves.
Well, that's true, and I think a lot of the fans felt that way, especially with the Mets coming in. That was one of the more fun sidelights of it, was watching those miserable Mets fans Saturday night walking out of there. They were like a lot like the team. I mean, they just wore it, man. It was I don't think I would ever go on the road for a game of that magnitude
in
the event of what happening. Yeah, because I don't want to be that guy or gal.
Yeah, I understand completely. Trust me, because I've been that opposing fan in places.
Wasn't a lot of fun, was it?
It's not, especially when you're talking trash the entire game. And if you lose, and you got to walk out of there. Talk about a walk of shame. But let's talk about the biggest series of the season. There's no question, biggest series of the season. Matt Olson, Dansby Swanson, each homer in all 3 games. All right. Kenley Jansen gets the save in all three games. It really felt like this was the series of redemption for a lot of those guys, because Olson had been in a terrible slump. Obviously, Dansby has not been bad throughout the year. He was terrible to start the season. Mm-hmm. But how about that? I mean, I think to me, that's as important as anything else, is these guys, your veterans, your leaders, stepping up when you got to have them.
Someone tweeted earlier today at Trenciarte.
Oh, yes.
Matt Olson, since he got a day off, 7 games, 435, 517, 1.130. That's what he's slashing. 5 home runs, 7 runs scored, 10 ribs, 641 WOBA. I don't know what that means, but you do. 323 WRC plus. I guess that's good, but I'm looking at the slash numbers and the more conventional stats, and I can tell you, 5 home runs, 7 runs, and 10 10 runs driven in 7 games since he's got a day off. That's pretty good.
So WOBA is it's a weighted on base average. So basically, it just means it puts weight on how you got on versus that you
getting on. Okay.
So there's that. But yeah, it's certainly interesting how much of a difference that day off has made. And then the WRC plus is runs created.
Okay.
So, this is a team that obviously doesn't have it doesn't feel like it has a lot of depth. A lot of that due to injuries more than anything else.
Well, it doesn't feel like it has a whole lot of depth because we don't use it.
Well, and there's that. But, you've got guys, you don't have anybody else to play first base. So you kind of have to makeshift when you do give a guy like Olsen the day off. But sometimes you just got to figure it out. I would much rather lose one game because we're playing Austin Riley at first base than Matt Olsen continue to hit
struggle
083
when he's better than that.
Right. So
and you didn't get to see last night's game because that was on ESPN, right?
Right. I watched the game cast and listened.
Well, I don't know if listening could give you the proper perspective of the play that Spencer Riley made at third base, or the play that he didn't make, but the decision that he made at third base on letting that dribbler go and it going foul, and then the Braves getting out of that inning. I think we runners at first and second, maybe.
They had a runner on third because he was going.
Okay, yeah,
you're
right.
I just watched the highlight,
but
yeah, that they actually talked about that in the ninth inning.
Mm-hmm.
Ben and Joe were talking about how important that decision was.
It was game changing because the Mets were getting ready to blow that thing open. Meanwhile, the Braves tweeted about 20 minutes ago, National League Rookie of the Month for September, Michael Harris II. That means a Brave has won the last 4 NL Rookie of the Month awards. Harris winning 3 of those. Wonder who your Rookie of the Year is.
I can tell you this: if Matt Olsen's not the Player of the Month, I'll be surprised. Because his September has been off the charts, according from what I saw. I saw somebody tweet that the other day, and it only got better, obviously, over the weekend. Yeah. So, it's. Can we talk about how great the umpiring was behind the plate? I mean, you're talking. I go back and look at the ump scorecards. Saturday night, the dude missed 2 calls. Missed 2. Sunday night, he missed the home plate umpire missed 5 calls. That's it. If you can go with those pitchers, the way that their balls are moving, and you can be that consistent and correct. MLB knew how important this series was. They put their best guys.
They got the right crew on it. Yeah,
and I think that is, that's what you want in a series like that. So kudos. And we give MLB a lot of crap. We give folks, we give a lot of people a lot of crap. But sometimes when kudos are earned and warranted, we're going to give those too. So
credit where credit is due. Absolutely.
Kudos to Major League Baseball, to the umpires who, obviously made those decisions stand up. Well done.
Yeah.
Great umpiring all weekend long. Great baseball all weekend long.
By the way, you'll appreciate this, Chris. The Freeze lost Saturday night.
No, what?
But check this out, because I'm scrolling through Twitter as I am wont to do. Former Georgia and for a short time, former Tennessee Titans linebacker Rennie Curran. Braves won. Dogs won. I won. My brother at Beat the Freeze is a legend. Thank God I had a head start. Almost blew out both my hamstrings. Haven't ran like that in a minute. Rennie Curran, former Georgia linebacker, beat the Freeze Saturday night. I didn't realize who he was.
That's incredible. That is incredible. So you know, I was going to go somewhere else, but I do want
I'm sorry.
I do want to say this.
Mm-hmm.
The Mets didn't met.
No, they didn't.
So I want to give a small sliver of credit to the Mets for being they did exactly what you expected them to do. They had 20-something hits in the series, and like 85% of them were singles. That's what they do. So
they do.
Credit to the Braves for, taking advantage and getting out of situations where they were, where the Mets got multiple men on and that sort of thing. Last night in the 8th inning, you get a ground ball double play from AJ Minter to get out of it, and just things like that. But yeah, I mean, the Mets didn't met. The Braves beat the Mets.
The Braves are 73-32 in their last 105 games.
Since June 1st.
Yeah, so
that's insane. But
I think the Dodgers are the only team with a better record than the Braves since June 1st.
73 wins doesn't matter if you don't win 11 more. I'm just saying. We've got 14 wins left to get, and that is including tonight, tomorrow, and Wednesday to send Don Mattingly out a loser.
Well, tonight's team trying to do it will be Acuna, Swanson, and Harris a second, Riley Olsen and Darno DH, and Contreras behind the dish, Arcia and Robbie Grossman in left, with Bryce Elder on the bump. And that's a 5:40 start on Bally Sports. So,
well, I might actually be able to watch it because I'm Spectrum tonight. Spectrum stream today happening. Dish Network can go. I'm gonna take that satellite dish and throw it so far out in the yard. How do you not make a deal with Disney?
You sound like us when we realized that Hulu wasn't carrying Bally. It's like, oh, okay. Well,
we're done.
And in the spirit of giving credit where credit is due, it was Jody that figured out that Direct carried Bally, and
so I thought about Direct. Do you guys have Stream, the DirecTV Stream? Is that what you're using? Is that something that you would suggest?
It's pretty user friendly. It's got a lot of options.
All right. Well, that may be where we're at, because I mean, I have Spectrum Internet, so adding Spectrum TV just makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But they're about the same price. So there you go. For those of you who have Dish Network, just find something else.
Hang with them.
So, all right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, Titans reaction, high school football reaction before the end of the show. So stick around here.
Hey.
Wait, you're right. Sorry. Hold on.
Hey.
Trying to get to it. This day in Braves history is
October 3rd, 1997. Following 2-1 and 13-3 wins at home, Atlanta completed a sweep of their best of 5 NLDS against the Astros with a 4-1 win in Houston. John Smoltz went the distance, allowing just 3 hits and striking out 11. And the Braves never trailed thanks to Chipper Jones' solo homer in the top of the first and a Jeff Blauser RBI base hit in the second. There. Now.
There we go. I was trying to get to it. I couldn't find it. I was like, where'd you go?
That's right there.
Yeah, there it was. All right, that was This Day in Braves history. We'll be back after this, so stick around on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Back after this.
The high school football season is here, and nobody handles Friday nights better than Main Street Media. Here's Zach Womble with details.
That's the name of the game here at Main Street Media and Main Street Preps. Is we've been doing this for a long time now, and I think you hit on it. We've got an army of reporters across all of Middle Tennessee. I think there's about 130 schools in the Middle Tennessee area, and we cover we try to cover all of them. We cover about 11, 12 counties at this point. And those Friday night shows, it's, we're gonna show that off. We're gonna showcase the talent that we have on the field with reporters across several mid-state games on the weekly basis. So, whether you're in Williamson County, whether you're in Giles County or Murray County or Montgomery or Robertson or anywhere in between, we're going to have you covered from 6 to 11.
Friday Night Live is presented by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, where fans don't let fans drive drunk.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mo, we're gonna. I don't even want to. I don't know where to start. We were talking about the Titans a little bit here, and talk about for the second week in a row, they get up 24-10 on their opponent and fail to do anything of note in the second half.
Well, not only did they fail to do anything of note in the second half, they didn't do anything of note to end the first half, because they had a chance to kick a field goal there, and Ryan Tannehill makes an awful clock management decision trying to run for a first down inside of 5 seconds left. So they don't get 3 there.
Two awful decisions, by the way, because the second down play where he made a poor throw cost them the timeout that would have been used
to set up the field goal.
So 2 straight plays, and God love him, Jordan Cameron, friend of the show, has been on it, and big Titans fan, wanted to put that on Vrabel. And I'm like, no, that none of that was on Mike Vrabel.
No.
Not any of it.
And so then they're receiving the second half kickoff, and I think they went 3 and out there. So you got a chance to go from 24-0 to 34-0 early in the third, probably, and couldn't, and wound up having to hold on yet again before defeating the Colts on the road. Now, in the final analysis, it's hard to win a game in the National Football League, so you're going to take 24-17 and go on. But back-to-back second half shutouts is got to be a little tough to take. And I didn't get to hear Vrabel's response to the question in post game, but it sounds like it was vintage Vrabel.
Well, and somebody said, and it probably was, it was vintage Vrabel doing his best Belichick impression. And, some people have earned the right to do that. Others have not. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yeah, I think it's obvious.
I'm pretty close to being done with Mike Vrabel. And look, it's not because I don't think he's a good coach. I don't think he manages his coaching staff very well. I don't think he does a great job as a head coach managing his staff. Now, as a coach's player or as a player's coach, I think he's phenomenal. I think he's a great motivator. I think he teaches his team to play the way that he played the game. And I think there's something to be said about that. But you can't consistently win games in the National Football League when your entire staff is getting out-coached in the locker room every single week. And if you come out and you don't score in the second half because Frank Wright's staff out-coached you, that's a problem. And I know he wants to be, and what is it about teams that we support, Mo, and coaches wanting to be loyal? But it's ridiculous that Todd Downing has a job. It's ridiculous. So that is why I am this close to being done with Mike Vrabel. It has nothing to do with his coaching ability. I think it's his managing ability of his staff and his level of loyalty to said staff.
He is loyal
out there.
He is loyal, and to a fault, quite possibly. So.
Now, I will say this. Don't come at me anymore, Colts fans, because that's all you need to see.
That was the Titans' 4th straight win in the series, and I think I saw that it was their 4th straight win in Indy.
That would, yeah. Look, when Derrick Henry runs for 114 yards on 22 carries and technically 130 yards on 23 carries and 2 touchdowns, because that holding call was questionable at best. Questionable at I mean, he didn't. This is the extent of the holding. That was the grab. It was a terrible call.
Meanwhile, the best running back in the NFL, 20 carries, 41 yards? Is that what it was?
Oh, let's just pull it back up. Yes, 20 carries, 41 yards, 2.1 carry. Now, some will say Jonathan Taylor is the best. I did get into a bit of a Twitter argument on on Sunday.
No, not you.
With Kevin Neely, who works for the Braves. He posted a video of Cordero Patterson and said the best running back in the National Football. And I was like, don't make me come down to Atlanta. Do not make me drive down there right now, because I will. But I am far more open to that argument than I am Jonathan Taylor.
I'm just glad, man, that a team has figured out a way to take advantage of the skills and the talents that Cordero Patterson has. I mean,
because he's got so many, it's hard to. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah. He's. I'm glad to see him really having a nice career at that level. But he's not the best running back in the NFL.
No, he might be. He might be, best skill player with his abilities to do so many different things, but he's not the best running back. But hey, give him credit, man. He's doing a lot down there, and it looks like Marcus Mariota might be on a bit of a short lease. He might be on as short of a lease as Mason as Mitch Trubisky, who is now out as the starting quarterback in Pittsburgh.
Now is he out, or? Because I saw some of Mike Tomlin's post-game comments yesterday, and he just said that they were just trying to get a spark when they went with the rookie Kenny Pickett yesterday. And so, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if Trubisky's out for good or not.
Well, now I don't have. It's not the top story anymore, so I don't know. But I thought I saw
Was there a pronouncement?
No, it was just Bill Barnwell talking about other teams that could be doing that soon. And he mentioned the Carolina Panthers going away from Baker Mayfield, Washington going away from Carson Wentz. The Cowboys, obviously. Then he also mentioned the New Orleans Saints and Atlanta Falcons, who could soon be making a bit of a change. Look, the Falcons' problem isn't Marcus Mariota. It's apparently their just absolute refusal to realize Kyle Pitts is on their team.
Well, this isn't fantasy football.
Yeah, it's the NFL, and he's literally the best tight end in the league. He's the most athletic tight end in the league. I don't know that he's better than Kittle or what's Kansas City's tight end?
Kelsey.
Yeah, Travis Kelsey. But he's easily the most athletic and the most versatile. I don't know. Kidding me? Anyway, that's neither here nor there. National Football League's weird, man.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to have Kyle Pitts and Arthur Smith back in Tennessee, even though for some reason, apparently Arthur Smith understands that tight ends exist when he's in Nashville, but not in
Atlanta. I don't understand that.
Go figure, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, so
make it make sense, right?
Make it make sense. I don't know what he's doing, but yeah. So Titans, big win. It's a division win. You'll take it. You'll always take a division win in the National
always, especially on the road.
Especially on the road, and especially against those guys. TTUN, as some college teams would say, that team up north.
Yeah, so. That's good.
Anyway, let's get into some high school sports here real quick, Mo. We've got some high school, pretty crazy weekend in and around Middle Tennessee. Couple of games that I didn't expect to see quite as lopsided. And then, you've got Knoxville Catholic knocking off Father Ryan by 1 point.
Mm-hmm.
But man, we talked to Jamal Stewart, and if you thought 53-21 was coming, even after our conversation with him,
if he thought 53-21 was coming, he sure didn't let it on.
No, he didn't.
Goodness,
the Eagles taking care of 8th ranked Green Hill, Class 5 8th ranked.
Did not see that coming at all.
Didn't see Brentwood with just a 1 point win over Independence. Obviously,
that was an overtime game, by the way.
Yeah. The Eagles, certainly giving themselves a chance to win that game,
and that was without again Ty Lockwood or starting quarterback Cody Pagash. Brooks Sapone stepped in and threw for 258 yards and 3 touchdowns in that one. So maybe they're figuring some things out without some people.
A little surprised to see Franklin Road Academy with that 39-38 win over CPA. That was a great ball game, though.
I'm a lot surprised to see that. Yeah.
So. And then Ravenwood, without the services of Chris Parson, dispatching Summit, scoring 35 points. That's a really good offense, man. Obviously, Chris Parson is great, but we're talking about Will Hester here. He knows how to draw it up.
He can draw some stuff up, man. He's pretty special.
He really is.
Speaking of some of our favorite coaches, what about 53-18 over in Rutherford County on Friday night?
We talked about it. We talked about how probably not going to take your foot off the gas. You need to send a message that, Blackman's good, but we're still Oakland. And
as Ben Ingram apparently said last night, if you come at the Kings, you best not miss.
That's exactly what he said.
Yeah.
That is exactly what he said.
And I guess that was kind of what Creasy said as well.
And one other score I was looking at. Henry County Springfield, man. Overtime, Philly special to win it. Got to give credit to the Patriots for that. But
James Counts was in his bag Friday night, literally.
I don't think that's the last time those two teams will see each other, Mo.
Straight quarters.
It'll be worth it to be in Paris that night. I assume, though, that Henry County is going to win the region at this point.
Yeah, I mean, they would have to lose twice otherwise. So, yeah, I don't – that's a heck of a statement, Chris. I mean, we've made that drive. It's not fun, but it'll be a heck of a game once you get there.
No question, just like the last one was.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the game that you were at, and I said this in the rundown, didn't see Page trailing at halftime to Columbia Central, and apparently neither did Charles Rathbone. So when he got into the locker room, he lit a bit of a fire under his Patriots, and they came out on fire. And Tell me about this play that you said was potentially game-changing.
Central was like 3rd and 8, maybe from maybe the 32-ish. And Luke Usselton threw a ball on a rope that kind of bounced off Jordan Davis's chest, caught it on the run, and went about 50 yards. The play went for about 50 yards. There was an offensive face mask called, and there was a horse collar tackle called, and the penalties offset. They replayed the down. Usselton got strip sacked. Page recovered it, scored like 3 plays later, and that was the score that put them ahead, 21-13. They'd scored off the opening kickoff. Then this sequence took place, went up 21-13. Central fumbled on their first play after the kickoff. Page recovered, went to the 1, scored there, and between Page, and the route was on, between Page being Page and Columbia Central, as Bobby Sharp said after the game, putting their heads down, the route was on. But if they convert that play, if they convert that play there, they are either close to or in the red zone right there with a chance to go back up.
Because they were down 14-13.
14-13 at that point.
Gotcha. Wow, what a turn of offense! So Jordan Davis stiff arms and
I theoretically I didn't see it, and
right? But that's
I don't know who. No, I mean I didn't see it.
Well,
I didn't see it. If you get what I'm saying to you,
but that was the call. They're saying that Davis was the culprit.
I don't know that we got an explanation as to who the culprit was. That's what I presumed.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I didn't see it.
Call what you see what you call.
Well,
that's interesting. And then the horse collar tackle there.
And if if it's just the horse collar, then that's 15 or half the distance tacked on.
If it's just the face mask, it's only 15 from where the end of the run is. That's the unfortunate part.
Ooh.
Even if there's just an offensive penalty, it's 15 from the spot of the foul.
Oh, the foul. That's right.
And you still get 35 yards instead of 50, but you still get 35 yards, and it's not third and
they'd have still been in Patriots territory.
Yeah. So that's an unfortunate turn of events right there.
Yeah. So,
wow,
tough one.
No doubt. In Region 5 2A, Mount Pleasant took control. Great ball game. I cannot begin to tell you, Mo, how impressive it was to watch Richland line up in the Notre Dame box, yelling the play from the sideline, not sending it in, literally saying base lead from the sideline, and Mount Pleasant couldn't stop it. They could not stop it. It was the most impressive thing I've ever seen. Had they not gotten down 21-0, I don't know who would have won the game. And the reason they got down is, guess who didn't play at all the first quarter on offense? Ethan Workman.
Were they saving him?
They were trying to have him play just defense because they knew that Mount Pleasant's athleticism was going to be a problem. So they wanted to try to keep him as fresh as they could for defense. And when the second quarter rolled around, Nick Patterson said, just throw it out. Throw the game plan out. Let's go. And that's what they did. And if not for Jackson Collier making a 35-yard field goal on the first drive of the second half to keep it a 2-possession game, that's a different ball game. And
I'm telling you, we have said it, and in your article from Friday night, Kid Hartsfield said it. Jackson Collier is a weapon that a lot of Class 2A teams do not have.
I don't know how many are there, 64 usually, 60-ish teams in each class.
Mm-hmm.
I bet 60 of them don't have a kicker like that. If not 60, if not more than 60.
Yeah.
So
he is a difference maker, particularly at this level.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, no question at all. And so congrats to Mount Pleasant on that win. That was huge. And I'm going to say this here. I don't know that it's the last time those two teams will see each other.
Well, with Cascade dismantling Forest over the weekend, I think the axis of power has kind of flipped in that region now.
Yeah, I think it will. To me, and I said it in the article, the controlling interest in Region 5 2A right now lies in Mount Pleasant.
Yeah.
And I think, and now Richland has Loretto coming up, and that's going to be a massive, massive game for both of those two teams, because I think that could determine a home playoff game.
Mount Pleasant finishes up against Summertown and Loretto, I think. I'm sorry, Summertown and Forest. Yeah. So the Tigers right now, I would think, are looking at running the table. But, yeah, you could see a Mount Pleasant-Richland rematch as well. And this one would be in Mount Pleasant.
Don't be surprised is all I'm saying. Well, the last time they were in Mount Pleasant, Richland spoiled homecoming. So there is that. So look,
this Mount Pleasant team is a lot more healthy than that one was. But, yeah, you're not wrong.
I'm telling you, man, 5-2A has been a blast to watch. Loretto's not bad. So Richland,
they looked really good Thursday night against Summertown.
And they look good against Mount Pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you were at that game too.
Right.
I mean, that's a good football team. So
they are. Yep.
Don't sleep on the Mustangs either. Anyway, we're over time, but it's been a fun reacting. We've got plenty more to react to. We've got Chip Walters tomorrow. We may try to get another guest. I was looking at the guest board over here. May try to grab somebody else to see what's going on, but a ton more college football to get to. There's no question there. We'll continue talking about the Braves. Obviously, we'll get some MTSU stuff, perhaps some Titans. The Predators lost to a non-NHL team, so there's that. Don't know what that means exactly, but yeah, there's a lot to get to, and it's going to be a great week. The forecast, Mo, has shifted back down under 80, so it's going to be 78, 79 all week long. And sunny. You can't beat this. Get outside, enjoy it. Soccer district tournaments are going on. Volleyball district tournaments kicking up. Go support some high school sports, man.
Yep.
There's nothing better.
The full schedule of area sports is on the website at mainstreetmurray.com. So check that out for postseason stuff as it comes at you.
Please do. Please do. But that's going to do it. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. For Mo, I'm Chris. Have a great day.